A surprising challenge, eh? Let's see. Let's reconnect now. Yeah, looking for them. Ooh. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's the right he took. Alright, so thoughts. Okay, so who's up next? I hope to see him again. Whoa. Hey, who's this? Menchi. Buhara. Seems to be Buhara. Cooking? Yeah, it looked like there was a setup for. Ooh, I like it. Okay. Laugh it up. Here's a narrator again. Oh no, Satotsu. Whoa. Oh, you're gonna have to go hunt them. Yeah. Okay, tough guy. You'll find out. Here comes that jazz, baby. Leorio's theme, right? Yeah. Gon should be good at this, right? Tracking the pig. Hey. Oh shit. He spotted it. Ooh. Doesn't look like they'll be easy to. I suppose the first task is actually surviving the pig attacks. Kind of like rhinos, right? Oh, wow. It's going to need something a bit more nuanced than force. Ah, look at that. That should do it. Oh, maybe not. Knocked itself out. Look at this shot. Oh, yes. This is the tough bit. Making it taste good.
Huh?
硬くなって肉本来の旨味が台無しよ。
何？食いもしねえで。
一目瞭然でしょ。
He'll eat up anything from the looks of it.
さあ食ってくれ。なんで？
表面パサパサ、中は生。しかもメンチはまだ一口も食べていない。
Presentation and the look of it.
誰か一人くらい私を満足させるやつはいないの？
この試験課題は料理だが、審査の対象は独創性と観察力と見た。
なるほど。どうだい、俺様の料理。
Got that
ジャッジをお願いする。
creation.
やっと料理っぽいものが出てきたわね。
与えられた器具や食材を駆使し、いかにメインの豚を引き立てるかがポイント。つまり味は二の次。
見た目も重要だけど味が伴ってこそ、あんたも403番と同レベルね。はーい、私もお腹いっぱい。てなわけで合格者なし。終了。
やはり彼女の悪い癖が出ました。
Uh-oh.
どうし
Is that logo again?
会長。仕方あるまい。よし、出かけるぞい。
お前らが豚を食わせろと言うからこっちは命がけで。
私は豚を使った料理で美味しいと言わせろと言ったのよ。一つも美味しいと思った料理なんてなかったわ。
豚の料理なんて誰がどう作ったって大差ねえだろ。
もう一度言ってみろこれ。今度生意気な口叩いたらケツから手突っ込んで奥歯ガタガタ言わせるやつ。
メンチの悪い
メンチ
癖が出た。そもそもメンチを満足させられる料理人なんて世界中に数えるほどしかいない。
Okay, so that's a tough task then.
自ら工夫して未知なるものに挑戦する気概がないのよ。
Something daring.
俺が目指してるのはコックでもグルメでもねえ、ハンターだ。
Hey, he's got some preconceived notions of being a hunter.
美食ハンターごときに合否を決められたくねえな。
また来年頑
あ
張るわ。
Don't do that. Yeah.
ブハラ、余計な真似しないでよ。
だってさ、俺が手出さなきゃメンチ。
Oh, it was for him.
私らも食材探して猛獣の巣に入ることだって珍しくない
The shot though.
武芸なんてハンターやってりゃ嫌でも身につくのよ。注意力も未知のものに挑戦する気概もない。それだけで十分ハンターの資格なしよ。
それにしても
Ooh.
合格者ゼロはちと厳しすぎやせんか。
Here comes the head honcho, some higher up.
ハンター協会の
Ah, Hunters Association symbol. Okay, good to know. Who this? Whoa, yeah, old timer, old head.
審査委員会の
Chairman.
ハンター試験の最高責任者ネテロ会長よ。
ま、
ネテロ
責任者と言っても所詮裏方。こんなトラブルが起きた時の処理係みたいなもんじゃ。君は未知のものに挑戦する気概を問うた結果、全員その態度に問題あり。どう書くと思ったわけかね。
受験者に美食ハンターを軽んじる発言をされ、ついカッとなり、必要以上に審査が厳しくなってしまいました。
つまり自分でも審査不十分だと分かっとるわけだな。
はい。
試験官は続けてもらう。ただし新しい試験には君に
おう
も実演という形で参加してもらう。その方が受験者も納得いきやすいやろう。
Fair enough.
そうですね。
Fair enough.
それじゃあ新しい課題はゆで卵ってことで。
ゆで卵？
Even that needs
会長、
a bit of precision.
私たちを飛行船で真二つ山まで運んでいただけませんか？
ま二つ山か。
Split in
なる
half.
ほどの。あ、いいかま。
As advertised.
雲わしの巣。
Oh,
あんなとこに巣を作るんだ。
special type of egg.
巣の下の方をよく見て。あれが雲わしの卵。
別名幻の卵と呼ばれておる。
Checks out.
ちょっと待て、まさか。
そのまさかよ。
There you go. Lead by example.
たとえ卵を取れたとしてもどうやって上がってくる気だ。
Let's see. Ooh. About to jump out.
おい飛び降りちまったぜ単なる自殺行為じゃねえか
Hold on, hold on.
違う。面白い。
冗談だろこんなもんまともな神経で飛び降りれるわけがねえよ
No reasonable person can just... Ah! Ah! Right on cue. Yeah, hold on, boys, hold on.
最後まで説明を聞いて。
お先に俺たちも行くか
今飛んじゃダメだ。
Yeah, good.
どうして
風だよ。
風は常に吹いているわけじゃないからな。
This dude's about to get splattered. Could be... Oh!
なんだ
Man, God's been clutch this episode. Look at this, all of them. Look at this.
残りはギブアップみたいね。
やめるのも勇気じゃて。
まさに幻の卵だ。
ねえ東堂さん、よかったら食べてみない？美味しいものを発見した時の喜び、少しは味わってくれたかしら。こっちとらこれに命かけてんのよね。
今年は乾杯だまた来年出直してきます
Respect.
賞金首ハンターだろうと美食ハンターだろうとハンターを名乗るには大きな覚悟が必要だと思い知らされた受験者たち
An appreciation for... Ooh.
42名
A lot of different aspects of it, right? Okay, so actually, before I go any further, I just realized after, I got the explanation for the logo itself, right? And it's for the Hunter Committee, right? You see Leorio tries to, dress up the pork or the pork dish with a little flag as well, kind of sucking up a bit, perhaps. But yeah, so going back to that silhouette shot in the intro, earlier, I surmised or theorized that maybe it could be the Phantom Troop. Maybe they're teasing it, maybe they're hinting at it. But no, it's actually essentially the examiners because, in the background you see the logo, the massive logo, right? It's a cool looking logo, isn't it? But yeah, I looked at the silhouettes and yeah, it appears that Satots is on the right of the frame. And then the three new characters I got in this episode are also present. The chairman is in the background and the two others are up front. So yeah, that's kind of cool. And it kind of gives me a bit of a tease or a hint at some of the other examiners. There's one that's got a sword. There does appear to be another female hunter, unless of course, the clothing is kind of throwing me off. That could be the case. And then a few more interesting designs there. So that's exciting. And it actually does kind of make sense, doesn't it? Because, the silhouette shot kind of ends that intro before the opening of the anime. And it's all about hunters, the nature of hunters, the job titles and the things they hunt and the people that are attracted to this type of thing, right? And it ends with the silhouette of the hunters, the examiners. But the episode itself, yeah, I'd say it's perhaps not the strongest of the 6 episodes I've seen so far. And this is certainly the type of episode that makes you thankful that it's not just once a week. But the crazy thing is there's channels out there, big channels out there that actually did it in that manner. So it must have taken 2 to 3 years, I think, to actually finish it. Right? Yeah, 3 years, close to 3 years, right? And perhaps that's doable for a big channel, but for a channel a bit smaller in comparison, at least, yeah, there's no chance I could have done Monster or Hunter x Hunter in that manner. It had to be multiple episodes, and even for myself. But yeah, even though it might not be the strongest of the 6 I've seen so far, it's still a fun time. It is, it's a great self-contained story. It's certainly a bit more low stakes in comparison to the swamp and some of the imagery that was on display in the last episode. Though of course there's death in this episode as well. A few of those guys plunged to their death, mistiming it. Though of course I've noticed that there's no reaction. I suppose there's no time to kind of have a reaction to that. Because like I mentioned, I'm looking to really take in Gon's reaction to things. But yeah, he's dialed in. I mean, Gon is essentially clutch throughout this episode, and I'm sure the homie Hisoka is taking all of this in. I've got to say, I'm a little bit bummed out that I didn't get to see Hisoka, take a crack at the cooking challenge, right? Or they didn't show it, because ultimately everyone does give it a shot, right? Because she failed everyone, one of the new characters, and I'll get to that. But yeah, it could have been cool to see Hisoka in that, in that situation, right? But I get it, maybe it kind of takes some of that cool factor away from Hisoka if you show him, trying to cook. But also I noticed that there's no sign of his associate, right? I guess, it's the type of setup that doesn't really show every single applicant or contestant, not a contestant. Yeah, I mean, rookies. It can't show all of them at all times, even though here, it appears that a lot of them jump together. But you see that, they didn't show Hisoka hanging or anything. So they kind of, pick and choose how to focus. It's not going to be just all of them together, even if it's a large scale attempt at something. But yeah, like I said, it's quite the intriguing plot for Hisoka and this associate that guided him, that, called him on that transponder or tracker to get him back to phase 2. There's also another really interesting moment. Gon, of course, shows up and immediately, as expected, he's thinking about Leorio and Kurapika, right? And then there's this really cool moment. Hisoka gets his attention by emitting some kind of, I don't know, chi? Something along those lines, right? And they kind of go into this topic in the last episode, or Kurapika kind of goes into it, right? That, certain special people, certain powerful individuals can kind of sense people's aura or people's power levels or something along those lines, their presence, their energy, right? But he did it. It was clearly by design this time, right? He tapped into something and Gon picked up on it, right? And of course, Hisoka continues to be as cheeky as ever, right? I mean, at one point he even pulls out his card. He was ready to maybe put something into motion, right? Something lethal, perhaps. But of course, the chairman makes his grand entrance, right? I'm sure the chairman is going to end up being a major character. He is the chairman of the committee itself, right? The Hunters Committee. So yeah, great to see a character of that magnitude, even though he himself maintains that he's more of a laid back, or he hangs back and kind of, looks at things from behind the scenes. But here, the situation called for it, and he had to kind of, come in. And of course, there's a bit of a creepy old man trope at play as he does look at her boobs. Gets an eyeful. And the thing I really liked about the animation is that you can really track his eyes. They go from her boobs back to her eyes. So she must have noticed as well, of course. But in comparison to some of the others I've seen, it's more of a subtle, creepy older man trope, perhaps, or a horny old man trope. Ooh, also going back to Hisoka pointing out Leorio to Gon, I like that attention to detail that they gave him a swollen face for the entire episode. Though, of course, he doesn't remember. Maybe, I don't know if that's by design or not. Maybe Hisoka did something. I mean, though he did get knocked pretty hard. I mean, took a right to the jaw, didn't he? And, that was one of the standout frames of the last episode. Really quite detailed, the punch he took. So I like that, attention to detail. Swollen face throughout the episode. But yeah, most of these rookies and I get to learn about a different type of hunter, right? The gourmet hunter, right? And, that in itself is so cool because it kind of hints at more of these types of hunters out there, right? And again, the episode count and the ever-expanding world of this anime, it's an exciting prospect. And that being said, I'm enjoying the world building of this anime so far, right? It gives you the right amount and just the required amount up until that point. There's not this, notion of just info dump, major info dump. Sure, there's some cases of dialogue present throughout these episodes. I've noticed it a few times in this episode as well, but that could also be a bit more about the demographic that it is geared towards, directly kind of explaining things that don't really ultimately feel that natural in dialogue, but they're kind of functional in terms of getting information across to the audience. And beyond just kind of the world building for us, the audience, you see that some of these rookies, potential future hunters, they get to expand their horizons as well, because you see by the end of it, there's quite a wholesome message that has been established. There's even a bit of a humbling, right? So that's respectable. That one guy, the ponytail guy, whose name I cannot remember, but by the end of it, you see that arrogant attitude, that really, really shitty attitude. It just dissipates, and now he's full of respect for the notion of a gourmet hunter and the skill set required to pursue that ilk of hunter. Once again, kind of reiterating the immense level of dedication and determination it requires to call yourself a hunter, to become a hunter at that level, right? And yeah, there's a newfound respect for other types of hunters out there from the perspective of some of these rookies, right? Though, of course, Tonpa, still rocking. Listen, man, like I said, you have to give this guy a lot of credit. And the concept of a gourmet hunter, right? The type of hunter that is kind of out there for exotic cuisine, in the hunt for exotic cuisine. And for that, you kind of need to take the risk to go look for these exotic, rare ingredients, right? That's a risk that they take. As she tells the guy one more time, the guy who kind of butted heads with her the most, that's great. Even like a side character, maybe even beyond a side character, like a C-level character is getting a bit of character development, right? That he's kind of accepted his arrogance and his mistakes from earlier. And now he's going to come back with a newfound respect the next year. But I've got to say, another thing I really liked here is that it showcases that not all of these hunters or the examiners that are chosen are infallible. Hell, she's actually a bit problematic, right? She ends up being a bit problematic, takes it a little too personally, right? Though you see that Satots actually did have that fear, that concern that, maybe picking these two might not be smooth sailing, right? And he was kind of spot on, essentially. They said her old habits kind of, came through again. And also, to be fair to her, I can understand her frustrations given the reaction to the idea of a gourmet hunter. Imagine dedicating your life and having such an immense skill set, being respected in, certain segments for sure, but then all of a sudden you have these rookies who just don't understand. They have this preconceived notion of what exactly a hunter is, right? And it's not applicable to something like cooking, surely not. So I can understand, from a professional's perspective who has dedicated her life to it, clearly I can understand. Though of course, it does kind of ground it a bit, doesn't it? That even these experienced individuals, though of course she seems a bit more newer on the scene than someone like, or in comparison to someone like Satots. But she understands right away. The moment the chairman has a talk, she understands. I made it impossibly difficult. The criteria impossibly difficult to pass because I did take it personally. But yeah, it's cool. It's really nice that by the end of it, her passions, her contributions as a gourmet hunter are validated, right? By most of them, by the majority of them, by the conclusion of this episode. So I really like that. But yeah, the character itself, it's essentially the first female hunter I've seen so far, right? And of course, it's kind of impossible to miss that there is a bit of fan service on display. Maybe not the best look given the fact that it's the first female hunter I've seen so far. But yeah, as I mentioned earlier, the chairman, a man of culture, if you will, certainly kind of notices her attire as well. But beyond that, I liked her. Really likable character for sure. And the other guy as well, just a really wholesome, fun sidekick type examiner, though he is an examiner. So, I shouldn't really underestimate him or anything, kind of reminded me of Snorlax. You should never underestimate a Snorlax. And, to finish it off, I've got to mention Gon. It's just Gon being Gon by the end of it. And he wanted to make sure that the homie who doesn't quite attempt it gets a taste as well, right? And he understands, right? Oh, look at this delicacy, essentially. This is why they risk it for moments like this, for experiences like this. Though I must admit, it was a little bit jarring to see all of them so happy and enjoying this eagle spider or spider eagle. I think I have it mixed up. It was kind of a little bit jarring to see them all digging in and enjoying this. I guess it is a delicacy at the end of the day, right? But yeah, no sign of those birds. Eagle spiders, I believe it was. So, is it kind of almost alluding, oh, okay, you didn't see them yet, but you might see them, they might come back for them. maybe, soon, given the fact that a lot of their eggs are missing now. So, let's put a pin in that. But yeah, I think that should do it for this one, folks. If you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you're interested in early access to the next few episodes right now, or perhaps even full length, timer-based full length, of course, folks, you cannot include the show footage. And that's one of the reasons people kind of landed in trouble. That whole takedown that happened on Patreon. At first, I didn't realize, but apparently a lot of people, some big channels, they were openly just including the show footage. So, once I found that out, I was like, okay, now it's beginning to make sense. But yeah, I just want to make sure to remind people, because there's going to be a lot of new eyes on the channel as well. Even here, by the time I get to episode 6 on YouTube, it's timer-based, of course. And of course, I make that clear on the Patreon page as well. But yeah, the links in the description and the pinned comment, also links to social media, things like Twitter. I'm really quite active on Twitter, more so than Instagram, but I have a link to that as well. But yeah, that should do it, folks. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for your time, because time is precious. It really is. And I do hope to see you again soon for episode 7. Until then, take it easy.